It's back to the negotiating table, that is, for Washington. But have Republicans lost their leverage? Let's ask Dan Mitchell of the Cato Institute and Maddie Doppler of the Americans for Tax Reform. Welcome to you both. All right, Maddie, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
How much time can we spend spinning our wheels? Today, we had Nancy Pelosi making fun of Republicans. We had a guy dressed up as Santa bringing 200 pounds of coal to Republicans.
Right.
These are distractions, and we have such high taxes coming. What is it going to take to get these two sides together?
Right. Well, talk about distractions. We've got the president telling us we need some kind of cooling off period. Remember, this is a president who had 2 years with a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate, and every day they woke up and did not raise taxes. So if they really wanted to do this, they really believed in their heart of hearts the winning deal for them was to have all the taxes go up on earners making more than $250,000. Why didn't they do it then? Why are we waiting now until the last minute, as you said, 10 days before these tax hikes hit, and they've done nothing to stop it? So, it's a mystery that they're saying now that this is an emergency when they had 2 years they could have done it before.
Well, if they were in the private sector, they would have lost their jobs long ago. Here's Plan B. So this is what Boehner failed at getting through the House last night. It would make permanent current rates for amounts of $1 million or more a year. So if you're making $1 million or more a year, you pay higher taxes. Other folks don't. Permanent AMT patch, permanent estate tax, 35%, not 50%, like will go into effect January 1. Dan, if Plan B is a no-go, what is Plan C going to look like? And by the way, I love your red jacket.
Somebody has to be in the Christmas spirit with all the doom coming out of Washington. The problem isn't what the House is doing. Yes, the Republicans are sort of fumbling around, not being very politically astute. The real problem is the guy who was visiting Obama in the White House just a few minutes ago, Harry Reid. The Senate has not passed a budget in more than 3 years. The Senate has not passed anything on the fiscal cliff. The House passed something way back in August. All the Senate has to do is pass something. They can go to a conference committee and get the whole thing ironed out. So I think Harry Reid and the Senate, and really, of course, Obama, because the Democrats in the Senate are doing his bidding, that's where the real obstacle to getting something done.
There's
that's where the blame belongs.
A lot of obstacles here. Maddie, I want to give this next one to you. I want you to hear what Boehner said about raising taxes, because, frankly, I think he was referencing your boss. Listen to this.
There was a perception created that that vote last night was going to increase taxes. Now, I disagree with that characterization of the bill, but that impression was out there. And we had a number of our members who just really didn't want to be perceived as having raised taxes. That was the real issue.
Well, and Maddie, I think in some ways he was talking about Grover Norquist, who runs your organization, very outspoken, the man who developed this tax pledge that he had Republicans sign on to not to raise taxes. There's his picture right there. How do we get past this? The president wants to raise taxes. Republicans, especially Tea Partiers, don't. They've signed pledges not to do it. Where is the common ground there?
Well, the reason that we have Plan B, that Boehner's plan is called Plan B now, is because the House has already voted to pass all of the bills that would extend all the tax rates for Americans. Back in July, they passed legislation that would extend all these rates. So the idea that we need a Plan B...
That's a no-go. We know that's a no-go. Where is the common ground? How can you have common ground when the president wants to raise taxes and many in the Republican Party do not want to? How do you find common ground there?
Well, that's what the speaker was trying to do. He was trying to come to the table to at least keep taxes at the rates they are now for as many Americans as possible. And as you saw, the president and we've had the House now reject that plan. So where we go from here is we need Republicans who are serious about cutting the size of government, looking at their options and deciding that they're going to do something to move that ball forward. With Plan B not going forward, Republicans need to have a serious conversation with themselves as to what they think the plan is next. Because after the new year, with all these tax hikes going into effect, we've got a couple other battles that are very important. You've got the debt ceiling coming up. You've got funding for the government that's going to expire. You've got a lot of things the president really cares about, and Republicans need to use their leverage in those battles and make sure that they're making the right moves there.
Well, it's interesting. Grover came out for Boehner's plan to raise taxes only on people making $1 million or more, and he was not followed by the Tea Party. So, listen, anything is your guess here, right? I mean, let's move on, though, because I do want to talk about all this hot air in Washington. Nancy Pelosi, who can be counted on for saying something that's incendiary, was at it again today. Here's Nancy Pelosi. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have it, but I'll read it to you. She said Republicans are like a reverse Robin Hood, taking food out of the mouths of babies and seniors to give tax cuts for the wealthy. Dan, what do you say to that?
Well, first, she's obviously not a literary genius, because if you read the Robin Hood story, Robin Hood was taking money back from the tax collectors and returning it to the people. And so he was a Tea Party guy, what, 700 years before the Tea Party even existed. But no, but Pelosi's not relevant. You know, the only thing you can say about her is she got Obamacare through, and we're seeing how well that turned out. This is ultimately a fight between Boehner and Obama, with Reid, of course, being a water carrier for Obama. And Boehner, to be fair, I don't like some of the things he's done, but to be fair, there's a big automatic tax increase that happens January 1st, and Boehner is trying to stop it from happening, to minimize what would happen, to lower the amount of damage. It's a very challenging position.
Maddie, I want you to talk about, because, look, I don't think all Americans quite have their arms around what we're facing here. What will be the real world change for most Americans when these new taxes go into effect?
Well, there's a lot that we're not even talking about. We're focusing a lot on these rate hikes that are coming down the pipe, but you've got the AMT coming into effect. That's going to start hitting 31 million families. Right now, it really only hits 4. You're also looking at something that hasn't really gotten a lot of attention, which is a slew of Obamacare tax hikes that are hitting on January 1. You've got a larger tax on investment coming down the pipe, and a lot of other surtaxes that are going to hit Americans when they can least afford it. So if you're looking at the rate hike as one of the problems with the fiscal cliff, you're absolutely right that that's going to affect American families and businesses. But there's a lot of other tax increases that are really going to hit this economy hard, and we need to be talking about what we can do to avoid that.
And it looks like we're going to be in a recession if it does. Dan, to you, last night Fox News reported that a Republican freshman named Mike Kelly yelled into a microphone at an emergency meeting on Plan B last night. He said, "Really, we can't support our speaker? What's going on here?" So the big question now, I think, is will John Boehner keep his job? On January 3rd, the House will reconsider who the speaker should be. Do you think they'll make a change?
I don't think there's an alternative as of right now. And I say that as someone who thinks John Boehner's big mistake wasn't Plan B. His big mistake was going after some of the conservatives and stripping them from their committee assignments. That was a signal that he was sort of siding with the establishment crowd in Washington. A lot of people like me can forgive Boehner for playing the cards, the very poor cards he's been dealt on the fiscal cliff. He doesn't really have a winning strategy because one doesn't exist. But to punish the conservatives who are trying to fight, that I think got a lot of people upset. But I think he'll still be there at the end of the day, because right now there's just no big name out there willing to challenge him.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but it's an interesting question, and it seems like anybody who has that job is really herding cats, because everybody's all over the place, and it's so hard to get them together. Dan and Maddie, thanks for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. Well,